What's going on, people? Welcome back to another Player Ratings. I'm joined by Patrick here to discuss the 3-1 victory over Everton. I don't know who was doubting us. I predicted a 2-1 win. It happened 3-1. It was pretty much comfortable throughout the game. I couldn't give my match reaction as yesterday after the game. I was just bedbound. I had a massive headache. Even today, I'm at 50%. So Patrick is going to do all the talking, basically. That's how it's looking like. But you was on a match reaction show, Patrick. You seemed, well, based on what you told me, because I couldn't watch it because I was basically off. You seemed happy about the result, which you should be. Why would you be upset about the result? But about the individual performances, I've seen your ratings, and funny enough, I rated more players higher than you did. And we can start off straight away with Vicente Guaita. To be fair, this is not the most, what's the word for it? After saying what I just said about me rating players higher, it doesn't really make sense starting off with Vicente. But we both rated him 7. But last week you were talking about, I don't know if it was last week.
It was.
It was last week, yeah. You talked about Vicente not making them big saves, and he done that this week. And for me, it stood out. To be fair, he didn't have much to do in this game. In all honesty, I thought we played well as a team. They had that spell for like 15 minutes or so. But even in that stage, Vicente made that save. But I gave him a 7 because of that save. But other than that, anything else?
No, but the save was massive. Like I said, I mean, T and I spoke about it yesterday. It's important to me that if we're going to be situation we're in, we're a team that struggles at times. We gotta make a keeper that makes big saves, and that save he made on Anthony Gordon second half at 2-1 was massive. And like I told you last week, and I mentioned to T, if he can do that, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for him to make 10 saves a match, which is unrealistic. But I need him to make a big save at the big moment, and there's no doubt about it. That was a massive save that he made yesterday. So the 7 was well deserved. He had 5 saves to make. Distribution was pretty good, but no, I mean, again, make a big save at a big moment, and I'll be very happy. And I'm very happy with Vicente yesterday.
You know what I just thought of? It's going a bit off topic, but if Vicente had to make 10 saves a match, is it possible for us to give our defenders high ratings? Could something like that ever happen?
That's a good point. I mean, we get up a lot of chances, right? So probably
exactly,
not.
No. Probably not. So it's either going to be the defenders or Vicente. That's how the player rating is going to go. That's just a spoiler for you right here. That I just thought about. It's never going to happen.
Vicente,
I can't imagine Vicente having a player rating of 8 and then Tompkins and Mark Guay having an 8 or 9 as well at the same time. But saying that, talking about the right back, Joel Ward, I think he didn't have a bad performance yesterday. But we both gave him a 6. There was that moment in the second half, I think, where he nearly cost us by giving away the ball. Silly. I don't know what he was thinking about there. But yesterday's performance, what was it for you that didn't push him above maybe to a 6.5 or 7?
I thought they kind of targeted him a little bit. And you make a good point. The mistake he made on Ben Godfrey really could have cost us. I don't know what he was doing there. But in his defense, he did make a key block later on in the game, and the goal deflected off of him. It wasn't his fault, but it deflected off of him. So it wasn't that he had a bad game. He had an 85% pass success rate for defender, which is very good. He just didn't have an outstanding game. And I mentioned yesterday to T, and I just noticed it's a very tactical thing. He doesn't get forward enough. But the problem is, I'm noticing now, tactically, Vieira does not want him to get forward. If you notice now, it's always Mitchell get forward left. Joel, you stay with the 2 center halves and defend. So I can't really get on him anymore for that because tactically we're not trying to do that. But what does it puts a lot more pressure on Ayew. But again, I thought he was solid but not spectacular yesterday. And a 6, I think, is pretty fair as a rating.
Yeah, I think it'll be silly to push Wardy up there constantly because he's not that player. That's why exactly. I've noticed it many times this season where when we do have possession, we go into a back 3 at times.
Right.
And Wardy is part of that back 3 because Mitchell pushes on and Vieira just wants him to stay, which is a sensible thing because Wardy isn't an attacking fullback. And until we get maybe the likes of Nathan Ferguson back, that's how it's going to be.
Right.
But yeah, yesterday, he didn't do much wrong. But of course, he had that 1 or 2 moments. But even a 6, you can say that's a bit harsh as well, considering that we won 3-1.
6 is basic average, bro, but isn't it? I mean, I think so.
Yeah, well, 5 is average in my books.
Sorry.
That's in between, exactly. But talking about Tompkins, you gave him a 7.5. I gave him a 7. For me, in this game, what stood out for me the most is that he just looked more comfortable. He's looking more comfortable as the games go on. We talked about it before. He hasn't had that many appearances until Joachim got injured, and we're talking about whether he can do it playing out from the back. But defensively, there's been no worries between us and between me and James Tompkins about his defensive efforts. But yeah, yesterday he looked class. He looked class out there. He scored a goal as well.
Defensively, very, very solid. I don't know if I'm gave him the 7.5. You probably didn't notice this. He had a 98% pass success rate yesterday.
98.
I think he misplaced one pass the entire match.
58. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. 58 out of 59 passes.
Exactly. That's a 7.5. And watching the game back, the touch that he makes on the goal on the corner is excellent. The cross came over. Both Gahey, and Edouard missed the header. He's at the back post, made the run, controls it, knocks it in. For him, that's his 10th out of 13 goals he scored from corners, by the way, as a professional, which is really good. And he just solid all around. I mean, 7.5 for me, he deserves it. And again, beginning, I wasn't a fan of him coming in, but I'm at the point now where I understand he's not Joachim Andersen, which is fine. He plays differently, but him and Gahey have a very good partnership. We don't have to go now and buy another central defender in the window. There's no need, because if this happens again, let's say Gahey gets injured, Tompkins can slot in. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's definitely a more than capable backup right now. He's playing really well. Deserves to keep playing.
Do you think, I was thinking about this yesterday, do you think there's a chance that when Joachim Andersen is fit, he's not going to start?
Nah.
Because you can't drop Tompkins based on performances, though.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't after yesterday's performance as well.
Right.
You can't.
So you say that, right? But he's done that to Benteke on more than one occasion. Benteke was scoring goals. He dropped in for Edouard. So, no.
Yeah, but that's due to the opponent, though. That's due to the opponent. I mean, remember the most noticeable game between the Benteke-Edouard situation was the Man City game. Edouard started that game, and then the next game against Wolves, Benteke came in because they had a back three, back five. With Joachim Andersen and James Tompkins, you don't have a similar situation. Maybe with the strikers, if you look at it like that, but honestly, I don't think it's a similar situation.
I don't think. Listen, I'll say it again. He's done a very good job as a backup, but there is no chance that if Andersen is 100% fit, now if he's not fit, then he's not going to start. But when he's 100% fit, you're not going to take away what he adds to the team just to keep Tompkins happy. There's no way. We talked about before. What does Andersen give us? Those long diagonal balls, the ball playing out the back that we've missed. I mean, we still miss that because you're not getting Mitchell as involved with Andersen not in there. So listen, as much as I respect and love Tompkins, what he's done, when Andersen 100% fit, he's got to go back in that lineup. Has to.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting when Joachim Andersen is fit, because Tompkins has been talking about adapting to Patrick Vieira's style of play, and I think he's doing that so far. So it's not going to be easy, but that's what we want. We're talking about lack of depth, and now we've got a centre half who seems capable of playing in that position. So now it's going to be Patrick Vieira's job to basically fit them all together. I don't know how he's going to do it, but that's where he's getting paid the big bucks. Talking about next, Marc Guéhi. We both gave him a 7. In terms of stats yesterday, not quite James Tompkins-esque. 86% accurate passes. Talking about his actual defensive efforts, 8 clearances, 3 tackles. He didn't get dribbled past 0, none. And I thought we had a solid performance. 4 ground drills, 100%. 4 aerial drills, 100% as well. I thought it was solid at the defense.
Very, very good. 80 by any player on the pitch, and just solid. I mean, went up against Richarlison, frustrated him to the point where he got subbed off. No complaints. I mean, listen, Gahey to me has been solid every game this season. Had dips in and out, but just across the board, been very consistent. Hasn't been injured, knock on wood so far. But and you can see him going as a leader in the back, and loving how he's playing. So no, I think it's a solid game yesterday. Solid game.
Yeah. And moving on to the last play in defense, Tyrick Mitchell. You gave him a 6.5. I gave him a 7. I love Ty to bits, but even maybe a 7 could have been a bit too high yesterday.
It was.
He lost possession about 17 times. I don't know where that rates with other players in our squad. But saying that, is there anything else to add about Tyrick Mitchell's performance yesterday? I mean, he's been very good for us so far this season, and we've talked about it here, saying how at times we barely mention him because he's that good, and we can't really go into one performance after beating them, after winning 3-1 and saying, oh, we should have done this better, done that better. Every player is going to have that odd performance. We're talking about Zaha. We're going to talk about him. You know, he's had that for a couple months now. So with Mitchell, is there anything else to add other than, you know, maybe it wasn't quite his day?
I thought the attacking intent by him was very good in the first half. I thought second half though it fell off defensively. I think that's the reason why he was subbed off by the manager. It could be an injury that I'm not aware of, but he did take him off the climb, which I thought was unusual because he's played every minute of every game so far. So that aside, you know, he was up against, I guess that would have been against Townsend. Townsend did nothing in the first half at all. So at nothing. People talk about, oh, we missed Andros Townsend. Not yesterday's performance. He was anonymous. So, but no, I mean, it wasn't a terrible performance. I thought Tyreek did well going forward. I thought it was, you know, a little bit exposed in the back, but I don't think it was a terrible performance. I think 6.5 is fairer than a 7. I think a 7's a little bit high for him, honestly. From
even as I said, I'm 50.
You like
right
him,
now, so
you like.
I like him. I like him as well. But
and I do too. So.
Yeah, exactly. We all like him. If you don't like Tyreek Mitchell as a Pirates fan, then I don't know what you're smoking or drinking. Will Hughes, you gave him a 7.5. This one, I'm sticking with my rating. I'm giving him an 8. As I said, maybe my headache got to me, but one thing that I didn't notice is that this guy controlled the midfield. I said it in the opposition preview, talking to the Everton fan. I said it on live Palace Focus as well. Will Hughes or Eze had to start in this game. He started Will Hughes, and this is what he can do. He controlled the midfield. It just seemed like a work of art. He just linking up with the defense, bringing the ball forward. And one key thing is, Patrick, we talked about it here with Conor Gallagher, which we're going to mention. It allowed Gallagher to get forward like he used to do on the Mac as well.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took this long for Will Hughes to start. Maybe he wasn't fit enough. I'm not too sure. But Will Hughes, what a debut. He was up there in terms of best performance yesterday.
All right, so I'll throw out some stats before I get into how he played. So he had the assist for Tompkins' goal. Very good, by the way, in corner kicks. Yeah. 90% pass success rate, 58 touches, and he won 8 duels, second and only behind Kouyaté for anybody on the pitch yesterday. But what the key to me is the role that he played. I watched him. He screened the back 4. He played the entire match around the center circle. He did not play Macca's role. Kouyaté was box-to-box yesterday. So I think that's the reason why we haven't seen him. I think that Vieira wanted to kind of see a few things with Kouyaté, and he changed Kouyaté's role yesterday. And again, but the key was he allowed Gallagher to do what Gallagher does best, get forward, get in the box, get his touches, get shots on goal, and get his goals. So I think having Hughes in that role now, if Macca comes back and then Macca goes into Kouyaté's role, what a midfield that's going to be. McArthur, Hughes, and Gallagher. That's going to be phenomenal. The energy, the work rate, the tackling, the passing, it's going to be phenomenal. But right now, yesterday, kudos to Vieira, got the midfield right, and Hughes, honestly, first start for Palace he was brilliant. Loved it yesterday. Loved it.
Yeah, and it just shows the future that we got as well, especially with that midfield 3. That is just, hey, that is scary. Not for us as well.
This season, just this season. Next year, Gallagher will be gone.
Oh yeah, let's not get into that right now. But talking about Gallagher, he's still here. I gave him a 9.5. I could have easily gave him a 10. Honestly, even going to yesterday's game, I was thinking, should I go? Should I not go? I wasn't too sure. I went to the game, and one thing that stood out for me was this guy. Like, forget about the goals. From the first minute to the last minute, he was involved with everything in terms of tracking back defensively, picking the ball up, going forward. And I think the second part of what I just said is the most important thing in yesterday's performance. He did get that 2 goals, but he was involved going forward yesterday and will look way more dangerous like that. And I think that's how you play Conor Gallagher. But once again, the only unfortunate thing out of this is that more people know about Conor Gallagher. He hurts us even more. But at this point, I'll take it. As long as we're picking up points and going up the table, let the whole world know about Conor Gallagher. Because we love him to bits. He seems like he's enjoying his football at Palace. And yesterday was one of the best performances I've seen so far this season.
Yeah, enjoying while he's here is what you have to do. Just enjoy him while he's here. Because when he's gone, you know, whatever. But right now, he's playing fantastic. I mean, yesterday, you know, he's had a couple of games again where he didn't play well. Why? It wasn't a role that, you know, he plays best in. Putting him back in that role yesterday, getting forward was brilliant. He had 7 shots on goal. I didn't know this stat, by the way. Owen Hargreaves mentioned on some show that he's did some stats on Gallagher. Gallagher averages 5 shots per game. He's a midfielder. He averages 5 shots per game,
He's got
which is
6
why
goals already.
which is why he has
We're
6
not even
goals,
halfway
3
through the
assists.
season.
The funny thing is, you see interview. He didn't realize he had 6 goals. He goes,
Yeah.
interview goes, 6? Or, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The kid just wants to play. I love that man. He just wants to play.
And when the interview, I don't know if you watched the Palace one or Sky Sports one, but in the Sky Sports one, when he's like, "Oh, you got 6 goals already," it's like, what's the reason for that? It's like just excellent finishing. Like even his post match,
I did see that. I did see
yeah,
that.
it's like
That's
even
brilliant.
his interviews post match, like he has the belief in himself. He knows
does.
he's that guy,
He
and
does.
that's the key thing about it. You know, with that belief, with a manager who plays to your actual abilities and to your strengths. Apparently, Sam Allardyce said that he's only improved 25% from what Gallagher was under him at West Brom, which I don't know about that.
He scored 2 goals last year, them. So I don't know what he's talking about, which is
I don't know
ridiculous.
about that, but yeah, he stood out. He stood out from yesterday, and long may it continue. So Cheku Kouyaté, you gave him a 6.5, I gave him a 7. But I think one of the key areas for me personally why I gave him a 7 is that maybe because, as you mentioned, Will Hughes played a bit more of that holding role, and
Right.
Kouyaté had a bit more freedom going forward and also defending at the same time. He was a bit more box to box. But I noticed that with his passing, he seemed
It was off a little bit.
Yeah. And he was a bit more forward thinking. And for that reason, that's why I gave him a 7. He looked a bit more youthful midfield rather than his defensive efforts. He was involved all around, and that's why I gave him a 7. But for you, 6.5, you thought he had a solid performance, but nothing special?
It was solid. I think going to get used to that new role. Again, passing's just not his thing. I mean, same 1% for him is probably decent, but that's not his thing. But he did have, like I mentioned before, he won 10 duels, which are most of any player in the midfield yesterday. So or on the field yesterday. So he was very solid. And again, I like that role for him. He's not the best passer, so boxer, but he's not a good finisher. That might be a little tough for him. But again, it allowed Hughes and Gallagher to flourish, so I can't be mad at how he played. Like then, I thought Cheku was very solid yesterday. Very solid.
And then Jordan Ayew, we were talking about. Well, I was talking about him.
Look at you, 7.5.
Not in this game. Don't get me wrong. I said it at the start of the season. I thought we have to get over it. But yesterday, in all honesty, it's not even the defensive efforts that impressed me.
No,
going. You know forward. What it is with Jordan Ayew? It's the fact that he doesn't have the support that Wilf has, and he still struggles, which I love Wilf to bits. That Wilf has Mitchell. Jordan Ayew has he doesn't have that.
Hardly gets forward. You're right.
And you know what?
But Gallagher does go on the right side a lot, though. I realized yesterday Gallagher does
help him out. So he does have a bit of help. It's not only just Jordan Ayew versus the world. I'm not saying that, but he doesn't have the support that the likes of Wilf has. Right? That's what I'm just trying to say. Saying that, despite that, the only problem with this guy is
finishing
him in front of goal.
Yeah.
And of course, that is a big problem when you're talking about creating chances and scoring them off. But yesterday, there were so many times where he'll just pick up the ball and he'll just run with it. And he looks so good on a ball. Like he's dribbling. And you know what? I use a start for next game. I use a start for this game based on his United performance as well. And it's come from not from nowhere, but in these last 3 to 4 games, Jordan Ayew has up to another level. I think ever since the Leeds game, he was actually solid in the Leeds game as well. Ever since that game, he's just looked decent. I don't know what it is. I think it's form. If only that form turned into goals as well.
Right.
That's the only thing that's missing, right?
Well, yesterday created the most chances in the match, which was 4. He had the assist, obviously, and that's a chance where honestly he could have shot that. He could have shot it, and he played it. He looked up, saw.
It's good idea to shoot it based on his goal for a record.
No, you're right. But you know what? I got to give credit to Vieira. Vieira has done a great job in just showing him confidence. When the whole world saying, why is Jordan Ayew playing? Don't start Jordan Ayew. And I'm sure he may not read the papers or be on Twitter, but I'm sure he must know that the player's struggling. But he stayed with him, and you know what? It paid off yesterday with the assist. And again, and you're right, he played well against United, played well against Leeds, played very, very well against Leeds. Very well against Leeds, and we should have got more out of it than we did. Yeah, and he had an 88% pass success rate. That's a wide player, so you're seeing his passes are finding the right player going forward. So listen, credit to him, man. And listen, any other player would have just said, you know what? Not said, but would have probably had their head down. But he's still going forward, trying to do the right thing, getting involved. Credit to Jordan. I just really hope he gets the goals soon because it will be glorious time. I remember when he scored his Wolves that first goal, he started crying. Everybody cried again. So he scored.
I think that might
Remember
happen
that?
again.
Remember
It's
when he
been
scored that
that long,
first
he
goal, he
might
was
start
crying?
crying.
He probably
It's
will.
been that long. Even I'll
Yeah.
start crying as well if I ever score for
I
like
will
50
too,
games
probably.
in a
So
row. Exactly. When is the last time you even scored a goal? I haven't got the stat up for me, but trust me, it's been
I
a
don't even know.
very long time.
That's a great
I know
question. I
that
have
for
no
sure.
idea.
But talking about the striker, it was Edward in this game. Benteke didn't start. Both games 6.5. Well, we both clearly didn't rate him above average. But what was it for you that he didn't do as well as maybe the other players that gave him a 6.5? Because when you look at our performance yesterday, I don't think he had that many missed chances. If he had, and I don't know, we played decently as a team. So even at 6.5 right now, I guess it's fair because he didn't do much, but was just one of them games where because he didn't do much, that's why he got 6.5 or.
He's very lively. He creates chances. If you remember that chance that Ayu had, that pass came from Edward, the shot that Ayu had early that was saved by Pickford. So he's always involved. He gets shots off quickly. He just hasn't scored a goal yet. I shouldn't say that. Hasn't scored a goal in a while since Arsenal. So as much as I like him, he's a different player than Benteke. He's much more lively, links up play. He just has to get scoring goals. And you said before we started this is that he hasn't played as much, and you're right. So I'd like to see him get the next 3-4 matches in a row if it works out as far as the scheduling. We got Southampton, Wednesday. We got Watford. Then we got Tottenham. If he can play those games with the short turnaround, give him a chance. But he's got to start scoring goals because Benteke was producing when he was playing. I mean, he got the 2 goals against Burnley, which is only 3 matches ago. People forget that, and they were 2 well taken goals. They weren't headers. But again, I thought Edouard again. It was an okay performance, and he's involved in a lot of things that we do. He links up with Gallagher very well, by the way, and with Wilf. But he just has to get a goal. He's got to start getting some goals because that work rate that he puts in has to start producing some goals.
Talking about Zaha, give him a 6. Both gave him a 6. I don't know what it is. I really don't at this stage. I feel like we talk about him every single week and it's the same thing. He's as simple as, for me, he's just not the same player for quite a while now. Might be going through a bad spell, but lucky enough, we've got the likes of Gallagher and who would have thought I would say this, but Jordan Ayew, who's been performing well. That's been carrying the load. But with Wilf, if you were struggling, if we had this Wilf last year, then you're talking about probably us getting relegated. Simple as, because we're one man team, and so far in the last I don't know 4 to 5 games he hasn't been at it.
Yeah, but I think we see this is the thing. I think we hold Wolf to a very high standard, and he hasn't reached the last 4 games. Prior to that, he was doing very well. I mean, he has 4 goals already this season. Yesterday, though, I went back and watched the game again. The first goal that we scored, who starts the run into the box? Wolf Zaha. He beat 3 Everton players at the halfway line, got the ball into the box, played around, it bounced back, blah, blah, blah. Ended up with Ayew, who crosses the ball to Gallagher for the goal. So Will started that play. He also had a great cross in the second half that Gallagher missed. Remember the header that he missed that went wide? If that's Edward or if that's Benteke, we probably score. So he was also involved in a move with Benteke when Benteke almost scored. Benteke actually got the ball on the left side towards the Holmesdale, crossed the ball across the box. No one was there to finish. So Wolf was much more involved than we think. He just didn't have the end product. So I just think, again, we just hold him such a high standard. But because Gallagher's stepping up and other players stepping up, we don't really need it as much. We did, obviously, in the last 2 games. We didn't score. We didn't win those matches. But I just think we're holding him to a very high standard. He's actually played okay. And I think yesterday he played well. I think that 6 should be like 6.5. I haven't watched the game back again. But again, I think we're going to be fine. He'll be fine, but he just hasn't scored of late. But I think, again, he just had the standard we hold him to is difficult for him to live up to, but I don't think it was that bad. So yesterday he played actually pretty well.
And then finally, we'll talk about quickly Schlupp, game of 5. There's nothing to really.
Wait, there is one thing. When we scored the goal and he got in,
that's the only thing.
He's at the 5 just for that. Just for that.
That's the highlight. He was on for too long. I love that as well because Seamus Coleman.
He's exactly what a
dickhead. He tried to beat the ball at Schlupp.
Right.
And then he turned out to look like a right idiot because
Exactly.
he literally gave it to. He
Right.
actually helped us. That's how Conor Gallagher scored the goal.
Exactly.
He couldn't bit. He might the way he put force into that ball. You think, wow, that must went over the halfway line.
Right.
It didn't go nowhere.
Got to the
It
18
didn't go
box.
nowhere.
Right.
And then we won the ball back and scored. And I love that from Schlupp going up to him as well, saying,
that was brilliant. Brilliant.
But I think that was the highlight from Schlupp's performance yesterday.
Right.
Honestly, I should probably give him a higher rating just of that. And then Benteke as well. He done that to Jordan Pickford.
Same thing. I thought Benteke actually did. I mean, it probably should have been a little bit higher. Actually, for the time he was on, like I told you, he had that interplay with Zaha where he almost scored. He actually was involved a lot yesterday. And even though he did say to Gallagher on that goal, leave it, which, probably wasn't appropriate. But, exactly. But no, I thought Benteke, for the time he was on, did a good job. And I have to admit, though, at the time, I didn't like the sub of Schlupp on for Hughes. I rather would have seen.
Like that well.
Yeah, but again, it worked out. Again, I'm never going to really criticize Vieira. I think he's doing a great job. And I think he's, so, yeah. So,
well,
5
anyways.
It definitely worked out, yeah.
Exactly.
Klein?
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. Klein. Give Klein a 5? No, I'm just joking.
Oh, geez, yeah.
No, he wasn't on it. He wasn't on it. He was on for like 4 minutes, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm having a howler today. So,
no. I'm just joking.
He was on for like 30 seconds, anyways.
Exactly.
So yeah, Klein, no rating. He was there. Well done. He well done to Klein for contributing one way or another. Well, look, that's it for today. I haven't been able to be my usual self. Due to struggling with headaches all day long. But we'll be back with more content throughout the day, tomorrow, the other day after as well. Lots of games coming up.
Him,
so
not me, him.
Huh?
Him, not me, him doing the content.
Yeah, him as... yeah, I was trying to point at you, but this converter kind of rubbish is pointing at me. But anyways, yeah. Him will be doing content, even though I'm trying to point at him. But yeah, so we'll be back talking about Palace. Hopefully, get a bit more energy by then. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comment section what you guys thought about our player ratings, and also post your player ratings. That's always interesting to see your perspective on individual performances. If you have enjoyed that, like and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace.